He didn't decide to become a minimalist because it was trendy or aesthetic. He did it because one day he realized something uncomfortable. The more he owned, the poorer he felt. Not financially poor on paper, but mentally exhausted, constantly worried, and always behind. His life was full, yet nothing felt solid. At first, he thought the problem was income. He worked hard, stayed busy, chased opportunities. But every increase in earnings came with an equal increase in complexity. More subscriptions, more commitments, more upgrades, more noise. Money came in and disappeared without ever settling. And beneath it all was a quiet anxiety that never fully went away. One night, surrounded by things he barely used, a realization surfaced, not as advice, but as a heavy inner truth. If everything feels urgent, nothing is actually important. That sentence stayed with him longer than it should have. He wasn't irresponsible. He paid his bills. He avoided obvious mistakes. Yet his financial life felt fragile. Any unexpected expense felt like a threat. Any slowdown felt dangerous. His mind was always calculating, always bracing for impact. He called it being careful. In reality, it was living in constant reaction. Late at night, he scrolled through other people's lives. Freedom, simplicity, calm. He told himself those images were curated, unrealistic. But something about them triggered envy, not for the luxury, but for the lightness. They seemed unburdened. He wasn't. What followed challenged everything he believed about money and success. The shift didn't begin with cutting expenses or selling things. It began internally, with a question that made him uncomfortable. What am I maintaining that doesn't to move my life forward? Not just objects, commitments, habits, expectations, distractions. He realized how much of his spending wasn't about value, but about relief. Buying things to feel progress, grading to feel ahead, consuming to avoid stillness. His money behavior mirrored his emotional state. Minimalism for him wasn't about owning nothing. It was about reducing decision fatigue, reducing emotional noise, reducing the constant pull of wanting more. He started small, not dramatically. He removed what added friction. Subscriptions he barely noticed. Purchases that created clutter instead of clarity. Financial obligations that demanded attention but gave nothing back. Each removal created space, not just in his budget, but in his mind. He didn't realize that moment was already shaping his financial identity. As the noise reduced, something surprising happened. He could see his money clearly. Decisions slowed down. Impulse weakened. He stopped asking, "Can I afford this?" and started asking, "Does this actually improve my life?" That question saved him more money than any strategy ever had. Around this point, let's pause the story briefly. If this reflection resonates, if you ever felt financially busy but internally stuck, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Not as a favor, but as a way of choosing clarity over constant consumption. Now, back to him. With fewer expenses, pressure decreased. With less pressure, fear softened. He no longer needed income to constantly rise just to stay afloat. Stability replaced urgency. And stability changed how he behaved. He began directing money intentionally. Savings first. Investments with patience. No rush. No chasing. Minimalism created margin, and margin created power. The most important shift wasn't financial. It was psychological. He stopped proving success through consumption. He stopped outsourcing self-worth to lifestyle. He realized wealth isn't about how much you display, but how much control you have. Over time, money began to accumulate quietly. Not because he earned dramatically more, but because less leaked. Fewer emotional decisions. Fewer obligations. Fewer financial distractions. He discovered something he only understood much later, something others might need to hear too. Minimalism didn't make him rich because he owned less. It made him rich because he needed less. That identity compounded faster than income ever could. If this story shifted how you think about money, consumption, or success, you're invited, calmly and without pressure, to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and explore the psychological materials mentioned in the description and comments. Not to buy anything, but to continue building a mindset that values clarity, discipline, and long-term wealth. Because the moment he stopped filling his life with more, he finally made room for wealth.